Hey guys, this is Gina with Archangel Art Studio, and today I'm going to do a vase. I've had several people ask me about my vases, and I am an expert by no means, but I enjoy doing them, and I think they turn out pretty good. Here's a finished one. I love it. This is for a gift. And another finished one. And then I've got one that I've painted, but it's not resined yet. I don't know how well these are showing up, but they're really pretty. I'm very happy with them. And like I said, I've had a lot of trial and error and came up finally with a way that works for me. So I'm going to share it. For my pouring medium, I used to use Floetrol and water, and it just didn't work the way I wanted it to for a vase. It works fine for me for paintings, but for a vase that's vertical, it ran too much. So I found a recipe, and I wish I could remember who had this recipe, but I can't because I'd want to give credit where credit's due. But it is 5.5 ounces of Floetrol. No, I'm sorry, 5.5 ounces of Glueall. Not school glue, not clear glue, but Glueall. 1.5 ounces of Floetrol. 1/2 ounce of water, and 1/2 ounce of the Liquitex Flow Aid. That works perfect. It's a little bit thicker. The glue, kind of grabs on. It's glue, so it's sticky. It works great for me for vases. And I'll put the recipe in the comments or in the description box. This is my go-to recipe for vases, or for anything that's vertical, because it just adheres better. It's a little bit thicker, and I like it. So there's the recipe. Today, I am going to use Master's Touch White, Master's Touch Rouge, and I added just a couple drops of black to it because I wanted it deeper, and then Master's Touch Phthalo Cayenne Blue. Not cayenne, cyan. I don't, it's early. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning here. Forgive me if I say some stuff incorrectly. All right. So, I'm doing a dirty pour. You can do so many different things on a vase. You can do a strainer pour. Those work out well. Another thing I like to do is put a base coat on my vase, and then it takes not as much paint, not nearly as much paint, and the look is different. It's more defined. Today I'm doing a dirty pour, and I've already got my cup mostly ready, but since this is kind of a tutorial, I thought I would save some of the paint and show all you do is just pour it in your cup. And I always pour to the edge instead of straight in the middle, because if you do straight in the middle, a lot of times the color just drops to the bottom and mixes up, and I don't like that. So you just pour it in by layers, one on top of the other. And I have way too much paint, but when you do a dirty pour on a vase, you kind of want a little extra paint, because you never know what's not going to cover or where you're going to need some. And I have a canvas under this, so my runoff is going to go on a canvas to make a painting, so I'm not wasting it. And I also leave a little bit in each cup of each color. So when I'm finished with my vase, if it needs something here or there, I've got the color for it. So that's just a little tip I learned when I was doing them and it didn't end up right. Okay, so let's put this back in the middle. Make sure you've cleaned your vase well with alcohol and you've gotten all the fingerprints off, and then you wear gloves, because if you have fingerprints or oily residue from your skin, the paint doesn't exactly stick well, or it doesn't do right. So there is nothing in my paint, no silicone whatsoever. I will never use that devil juice again. I hate silicone. Yeah, it's up to each individual. I love the way it looks. I hate the way it is on the painting. I have ruined more than one painting, and I've scrubbed them. I've put cornstarch on them for 24 hours and let them sit. I've cleaned them with alcohol. When I resin over them, I still have the pits. The silicone just will not come off in every spot. So I won't use silicone again. All right, so there we are, and here we go. And I always pour in a little circular motion if I'm doing a dirty pour. And it never fails that one color looks predominant while you're pouring, and that's okay. Like this is the blue that looks predominant right now. The white's about to come. And it depends on how you mix. And I'm going to stop right there. I still have a little in my cup. And I don't know if you can see, I'm not sure if it has it over there. Over here I've got a few cells. That's the Floetrol. You can get cells with Floetrol. You don't have to have silicone. You don't get as many with Floetrol, but you don't have to clean it and pray that it works right. And I just realized I forgot to put a cup under my vase. That's a rookie mistake. You always put a cup under here to hold it up so you can clean your edges. And like I said, it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I totally forgot. So I'm not sure if I can correct this. I'm not sure if I'm even going to try. I'm just going to let it be, I think. Oh, maybe not. Sorry, I'm off camera over here looking for something to put under my vase. I can't find anything. Okay, so we're just going to leave it. Excuse me, dog. You see, down here you want to wipe around those edges. Okay, now I'm going to check everywhere and make sure everything's covered. And it looks like it is. And I like it. Now it's going to change. Gravity's going to pull it and your pattern is going to change a little bit. But what I found with the Glueall, it doesn't change nearly as much as it does with other flow aids. So that's why I like the Glueall. So now I'm going to move this over and I'm going to pull my canvas out. And this has got really a pretty pattern on it, but I'm going to use the rest of my paint. And I have a little bit of the colors left that I saved. I'm just going to pour them in the middle. And then we're going to do some tilt-a-whirl action. Okay. And I could have primed my canvas so the paint would move easier, but I didn't. So there's that. And you can see, as you can see, you can use this mixture to do canvases, but it's a little bit thicker. And I prefer to use just Floetrol and water to do my canvases. But this does work. And I'm sorry you can't see, but I gotta get my tilt down here. Use my hand to help things run along. And I should have mixed the rest of the color I had in the dirty pour cup instead of pouring it straight on, because it looks out of place, but it may make something cool looking. I don't know. We'll see. I just put that in there. But I've got some more white I'm going to put in here. And the white also helps make sales. I don't know what it is about white paint, what it has in it, but it helps promote some sales. You know, different paints do different amounts. Like, I know Cast and Craft white paint gives you lacing and sales like crazy. I've heard Stone Coat does, but I've never used it. Billy's used it when he does resin work, but that stuff stinks to high heaven, and I don't want to use it, so I don't. And I might be making a mess here, I know, but it'll all come out in the end. Okay, now that I have it all over my hands. Okay, I'm just going to let this run for a bit and try to run off that part I don't like. How's the vase looking? It looks good. I like it. You can see the pattern's changed a little bit because it is dripping and it is running, but that's what we expect. I've got to torch it. That's something you need to remember too. It gets little bubbles in it, and you're going to want to torch it to get the bubbles out. Otherwise, when they dry, it'll leave little marks all over your vase. And that's my air conditioning coming on, that loud roaring noise. So let's take these gloves off. Okay, and get my torch. And you don't have to torch it a lot. You just hit it a little. Especially up here, because the paint's thicker. grab some more gloves because that blue is so pigmented. You get that on your skin. I've got some on my skin already. You're gonna look like a Smurf for days. It washes off, but it stains. Or maybe it's just my skin that stains because I'm like so pale. I got that Irish glow-in-the-dark white skin. Red hair, freckles, and white skin. You don't think I was picked on in school? Man, I'm so glad I'm an old woman now, because if I was in school in this day and hour where bullies are so predominant, ooh, it would have been bad with my freckles and white skin and red hair. Okay. So my picture is done. And I'm going to put it where you can see it, maybe a little better. Don't want to touch my vase. It's got the funky little corner up there where I just poured paint on. And I kind of like it. It's different. And it needs some on the edge. Alright, so I'm going to move this to the side. And I'll touch my vase, which I didn't mean to do, but hey, it happens. Okay, I'm going to move my picture over to the drying spot. Alright, and now let's check out the vase and make sure I didn't knock any of the paint off. Nope. Alright, now what I would normally do is take a popsicle stick, tongue depressor, whatever, and wipe around those edges because you don't want the drips. I mean, you can have the drips, it just means you have to sand. I don't like to sand. I'm not good at it, so I wipe. But I forgot to put a cup under this one, and that's going to be next to impossible. So I'm going to have to do some sanding. When this dries in about 2 to 3 days, I always give it some extra time, I'll resin it. And I can come back and add to this video and show you how I resin it. You can spray it. You can use lots of different spray finishes, triple thick and extra gloss, and I don't know what else. There's brush on varnishes. I prefer resin. It just works great. It's easy to me, and it gives it an awesome shine. You can also add some glitter in your resin, and I like glitter, so sometimes I'll put some glitter on it. Okay, that's my tutorial for now, and like I said, we'll come back in a couple days and I'll do the resin. Hey guys, I am back and ready to resin my vase. It is dry, and as you can see, I'll take it off of this. I think it's very pretty. Billy did a pour, so this is his remnants of a pour. And the picture turned out nice as well. I'm not going to resin it yet. I want it to dry a little bit longer, but I'm happy with that. I actually ended up liking that area that I thought I wouldn't like. So I'm going to resin that later. But right now I'm going to resin my vase. And of course, as always, using Pro Glas resin. Link will be in the description box. You can still get 10% off free shipping in the continental US. It's a great resin at a great price. So I've already mixed it up, and now I'm just going to pour it over and then rub it with my hands and make sure I get all the spots, the areas, and then we'll start the long process of hanging around and watching it drip so I can wipe it. So here we go. And I really, really love how the resin just brings the paint back to life. Because you know, acrylic, unless you use like a glossy medium, it dries kind of matte. And the resin just brings that paint back to life. And I love it. Now you do have to get your hands in there because of how the vase is shaped. It won't exactly run down right. It starts to drip right here at the bend. So get your hands in there and just rub and make sure you've got coverage everywhere. And that also helps to thin the resin out just a little bit. You don't want globs of resin all over your piece. And it is self-leveling, so it's going to level out, but you still need to rub it down, because I found out the hard way, if you don't make sure you're rubbing all the areas good, you're going to miss some. There's going to be some little spots with no resin, because it's just not going to run everywhere. So rub it. Simple as that. And now let's get these gloves off and hit it with the torch, because you still need to pop the bubbles. And this helps to heat the resin up a little bit, and it runs down a little more evenly. Just don't hold your torch too close, and don't keep it in one spot. Keep it moving. Okay. All right, I've hit all the spots. So there you have it. Simple as that. To resin over a vase. I prefer resin over the spray varnishes or the clear spray or any of that. So that's a preference. If you'd rather spray paint clear over it, several layers, or paint varnish on, that's totally up to you. I don't like doing that. I always end up with runs or drips or something, and I don't with resin. So now all you have to do is move on to another project and hang out for about 30-45 minutes wiping this bottom with a stick. You don't have to do that, but I strongly suggest it unless you want to have to sand your drips off. I don't like to sand. I'm not good at sanding, so I'll find something else to do while this is dripping, and I'll just come back and wipe it periodically. So there you have it. That is my tutorial on how to do a vase, and I'm going to put in the description the recipe for my pouring medium, the link to the resin I use. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to leave them. I will answer every question you ask to the best of my ability. And like I said, I'm no pro at this. I just found what works for me, and I thought I would share it. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I wanted to show you the dry finished piece. It looks really pretty, except for right there. I think you should be able to see that one spot. It is right there. I missed rubbing it, so there's no resin. And what I'll do is just put a little touch up there. And there's one spot right there that either I didn't pop a bubble or something happened. But I'll fix that as well. But anyway, there's the finished product. It's shiny, and you're probably getting a lot of light glare in it, but sorry. Let's move over here. It's nice and shiny and pretty. And I'm happy with it. I'll just fix those 2 little spots. So, there you go. That's the tutorial. Later,